Hey y'all, welcome back to In the Wild. I'm Rayshawn, and today we have a treat for you because if you've been watching our content this week, we have been talking or highlighting some of our AU sweethearts. And today, for this episode, we have two couples that are really making an impact at AU. So first up, we have Dr. Klaus and Dr. Lynn Hedrick, and they are the co-directors of the new Immunology Center of Georgia at MCG, which is a new center that is all about immunology, and they're going to talk a little bit about how that center came together, the work that they do, and how it's going to impact not only our campus, but the state of Georgia as well, because they are some highly renowned scientists, researchers. They are recruiting scientists and other researchers, so that's going to be a cool conversation to have with them. And then we have two students, TJ and Piper Allen, to come talk to us about them getting married while being college students and how they manage that day-to-day life, because I don't think I could have gotten married when I was a college student, but they were able to do it, and I think it's really cool to see how they are so involved on campus and managing things going on in their personal life, but also their work in school life. So here we go. Well, welcome you guys. Thank you for being here. And to kick things off, can you share with us the purpose behind the Immunology Center of Georgia and what motivated you to help lead this groundbreaking initiative for our state?
Sure. Thanks for having us. This is going to be fun, I think.
It will.
So we came here a year and a half ago, I think, from San Diego. And we came because I had known some scientists, some colleagues at MCG, and I knew how collegial they were. And for us, it was an opportunity to really build something that would really bridge the great clinical work and the great science that's already there that I knew from my colleagues. And so one of the things that we study, or what we study, is really immune cells or immunology. And that is what keeps you healthy. It's also what can kind of go crazy when you get sick or go awry. It's also really what tries to help you get better when you are sick, right? So all of those blood cells, the white blood cells that are circulating through your body and in your tissues, are the ones that actually we think are central to keeping you healthy and also, making you sick in some ways, in some diseases. And so that, because it's kind of in the center of health and wellness and disease, we decided that maybe putting it kind of right in the center of the research that's going on at MCG and linking to all the great work that's already there is perfect for really bridging new innovations, new science. And so that's why we're here. It's a wonderful opportunity.
So immunology touches on everything, right? You may know that most chronic diseases like diabetes or heart disease have an inflammation component, even Alzheimer's. So many chronic diseases have inflammation. Inflammation is controlled by the immune system. So we're trying to work on unraveling some of those connections. The other big one is cancer, right? Cancer means that a bad cell has escaped the immune system and now makes a tumor. And the immune system tries to fight it, but it's not normally successful unless we use little helpers, so-called checkpoint inhibitors. So among all the big diseases, it's either inflammation or the need to kill something, and that involves the immune system. Another big area is autoimmune diseases. So autoimmune diseases range from multiple sclerosis to allergies, and it's a wide range of disorders. And quite a few people suffer from autoimmune diseases, and the immune system is key. Understanding the immune system is key to dealing with these autoimmune diseases. I believe that autoimmune diseases can be improved by certain interventions, and we may talk about this later. And inflammation, cancer, and autoimmune diseases, the big ones.
So you mentioned you came from San Diego. Is this your first time living in Georgia?
Yes. I grew up in North Carolina, so
Okay.
It's kind of like coming back home.
Okay,
Yeah.
closer to home.
Yeah. It's nice.
What does a typical day look like for you both as being the co-directors of the center?
Meetings. Sometimes too many meetings. Yeah, pretty busy. Pretty busy. We're hiring a lot of new faculty and setting up new labs and hiring a lot of young scientists, and that takes a lot of time. And we are scientists at heart still, even though we have this new role. And so I think the most fun is probably just, still having the opportunity to hang out in the lab and look at data and watch our young scientists really develop and grow scientifically.
I'm sure that's great.
So let's take today. So it was pretty typical. So I met with a graduate student from my lab for over an hour, and graduate students need guidance, and so I meet with each of my graduate students one-on-one every week. And we have other scientists, young scientists in the lab, postdocs, who basically come to us to become professors elsewhere. So that is past the PhD. We sometimes meet one-on-one every week, but it's more often like every few weeks, right? Then we have a lab meeting where we test drive something, a new idea, a paper before it gets written. Does this fly? Does this make sense? What questions do you have? So I try to use half my time for my lab and half my time for the center. And what Lynn just said about recruiting, that's a big time commitment. We are supposed to recruit 20 professors. We recruited 7 so far. And each of them is at least 2-3 day visits, right? So it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that sounds like you stay pretty busy. With technology advancing rapidly, what does that look like for your work and for the center? Like, how do you use, I guess, just that cutting edge technology in your labs or even outside of the lab?
You want to go first?
So single-cell RNA sequencing is a modern technology that we use, and we were first adopters in 2017, one of the first groups doing this. So now, 7 years later, a lot of people are doing it, and it requires a good infrastructure in bioinformatics. You need statisticians, you need people who can write code, and so it's a very information-rich resource, and enables research on real people with a real disease, not a mouse model, but real blood cells from people that have the actual disease, and that is a game changer. The other thing we use almost every day is now artificial intelligence. So, for example, for image processing, I study atherosclerosis, which is a blood vessel disease, and you can see the lesions in the microscope, but then to identify them, quantify them, you use artificial intelligence to, outline exactly where the lesion ends.
That's interesting.
The same. We do a lot of similar work. I think one thing that my laboratory does that's very innovative is something called mass cytometry. It's where you, at the single cell level, say you take your blood cells, right, and we want to know what they look like, what is on the surface of these cells. Then we use antibodies that have these metal tags on them, and we add the antibodies to your blood sample, and we put it in this big orange machine. We call it the Orange Princess because she's kind of finicky. And then that basically analyzes the cells, and it tells us exactly what proteins are on the surface of each one of those blood cells of yours that we put in. And then that tells us what's different between, say, someone who's really healthy versus someone who's sick, right? And we sometimes find very rare new cells. We've discovered some new cells,
Oh, wow.
type subsets of cells. So we kind of know what's in your blood. There's monocytes, T cells, B cells, but sometimes we find discover new subtypes of those cells. And so we spend a lot of time trying to understand, hey, this is cool. What are they? What do they do?
That does sound really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
And kind of going off of that, being a part of the Medical College of Georgia, how do you, I guess, train the next generation of immunologists and scientists with the work that y'all are doing? What does that look like for a graduate student or, say, an undergrad who's interested in learning more?
All right. Do you want to start?
Yeah, we have undergrads and medical students visiting for short periods, and they are in the lab for a little bit to get the flavor of it. Then we have rotations. So here at AU we have short rotations, which are 3 weeks, and long rotations, which are 7 weeks. And usually the graduate students do several of these rotations to find out which lab is a good match. And so we have that. And then if a graduate student commits to a PhD, that typically takes 5 years. So that's a longer commitment. It's also a big commitment on my part, on the part of the PI, because you invest over $100,000 in that person. So you want to have a good match.
Yeah, for sure. On a latter note, is there anything like unexpected in your role as directors that people might find interesting or they may not be aware of that comes with like your roles as scientists?
Yeah, so part of our job is to, we have a development officer. We try to get philanthropic money, and so you have to play that game. And that involves, going to a retirement home and give a talk, or having a lunch with someone, or even, more involved, show up at a gala.
Which can be fun.
Which can be fun.
Which can be definitely fun.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, what are your aspirations and goals for the future of the center? Like, what would you like to see it become in the next few years or longer out?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a while, right? But we have, I think, really fantastic colleagues around us that are very helpful. The administration, the dean of the medical school, David Hess, is fantastic and very supportive. And I think with this growth, I think my expectation is the young scientists that we've had, that we've recently hired, or in the next couple of years going to have their grants, get grants, and win even more awards than they're winning already. And, they're hiring people. They were starting their labs and hiring, and so the place is really growing. And I think we hope that it becomes very successful. We think that it will, and something that will probably be nationally known. Everyone is already hearing about us and are excited that that this is happening. And I think hopefully, I guess down the road, internationally known, right? I think we're trying to build a really strong foundation, and we hope that it will succeed. We think it will, and keep growing and be something there for the long term, for the next generation.
Yeah, the word is getting out, and most of the applicants we get at the faculty level, but also at the postdoc level, is word of mouth. So they know that this is happening, and that there's a lot of energy. When you have 7 young assistant professors around, all hired in 2023, that creates some energy because they're all in the same boat. They need to get their first grant, and they need to get their first graduate student and get the lab working, and so that is a really great experience that we are building into a national center. One thing we're struggling with is the rankings. The rankings lag behind by years. So you will not see an immediate impact on the rankings because it takes a while for these organizations to figure out that there are new people and that the faculty has grown and that we do different things. So that's why we have Heather, who is our communications director, and she helps us have a presence in that realm, but also at our professional organization, which is the American Association of Immunologists. So we'll have a booth at the AI, as it's called for short, in Chicago in this summer, and we will be present. We will have AU logos and everything, and immunology logos on our booth.
That does sound like fun.
I want to say something too, just to follow up with the young faculty that we have. He mentioned how much energy they have. They're very enthusiastic. They're, of course, innovative and creative and really smart and fun. And it's just really, I think, together they all have different expertise. And when you put them in the room together, it's just fantastic. And you can see how they're going to help the place grow because they themselves are going to learn to be leaders. And so you can really see that by bringing in this really strong foundation of people, that this place is going to be fantastic. So
I'm excited to see what's in store. Before we move on to our fun little game, I'm curious just to hear from each of you, what would you say makes a good immunologist for the work that you do, the research that you're doing, for folks that say, hey, I'm interested in maybe joining a part of your team? What would you say what would be a great team member for you?
You want to take this first, or I'll take it first. We have different styles, I guess, so it'll be interesting to see what we say. So for me, it's really someone who's enthusiastic and wants to learn. Immunology moves very fast. The field just, in general, just, there's so many discoveries made every day. But enthusiasm, someone who really wants to learn and wants to read, is not afraid of taking some risk, and someone who, meaning that, some of these experiments are difficult, but, if you can hang in there and are disciplined to do it and really, determine that, you can actually succeed at some of these experiments. So yeah, that's what I look for. And I think that's good qualities.
Yeah, I went to medical school a long time ago, and I would say, looking from 2024, nothing was known back then. Nothing was known. Immunology is a very fast-moving field, ahead of the other biological sciences, and let me give you 2 reasons for why this is. Immunology makes its own tools. Monoclonal antibodies were discovered in 1984 and are now everywhere, even in clinical diagnostics for everything, right? So you can make a highly specific monoclonal antibody. That's a wonderful tool. The second is most immunology molecules, when you make a genetically modified mouse, you knock out that molecule, the mouse will still be alive. It will have a defect in the immune system, but it will be alive, unlike other disciplines. Like, if you mess with a molecule that is important in brain development, you may not get a live mouse. You cannot really study it. So so these are 2 reasons why immunology is moving so fast and so important. The third one is a medical one. Vaccination is the most successful intervention in medicine. Saves more lives than brain surgery or other interventions, or putting stents in hearts, right? It's huge, millions of lives. And so vaccines are basically the practical arm of immunology. You've seen how the COVID vaccines were developed, how rapidly that happened. There was a groundbreaking speed, really warp speed. And, these vaccines work and protect people, maybe not completely, but at least protect them from dying from the disease or going to the hospital.
So now I'd like to switch gears a little bit to our little fun games. So if y'all would like to grab your whiteboards, just to let our audience know a little bit more about you.
I'm going to win.
So the first game that we're going to do is a little quick round of most likely to. So kind of like a superlative, where I'm going to read you a question and you will either answer for yourself or if it's your co-director. So first up is, who is most likely to turn a casual coffee break into an impromptu brainstorming session?
And now you want us to turn
Yes.
around?
See?
Both agree that it's Klaus.
I'm just drinking the coffee.
You're just drinking the coffee? Next up, who would most likely come up with a catchy nickname for a groundbreaking immunology discovery? He voted for you.
We've both done it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's fair.
You both had your catchy nicknames?
yeah.
Okay. Next up, who is most likely to have a secret stash of snacks hidden somewhere in the lab?
Did he?
What?
What's your snacks of choice?
Oh, it used to be goldfish.
Okay.
And I love peanut M&Ms. And then I think I'm allergic to peanuts because I ate
Oh,
so many
yikes.
peanut M&Ms over the years.
Okay, last one. Who is most likely to be the go-to person for immunology-related trivia in the office?
I think. Of course, I didn't mark anything out, so I'll just have to point. The bottom one. Klaus. What
Okay.
did he say? Me?
No, he said
Oh, good.
himself.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so y'all are pretty much on the same page there. Now I have some would your partner rather questions. So kind of sticking to the lab and at work, would your partner rather discover a groundbreaking vaccine or unravel the mysteries of an unknown immune response? So you're trying to answer for your partner.
So Lynn would probably take the latter.
Okay.
Be more excited about discovering an unknown immune response.
He's definitely the vaccine.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Next up, if you had to choose, would your partner rather have a lifetime supply of coffee to fuel your research or an endless library of immunology resources to expand your knowledge?
Oh, she would take the coffee.
Coffee.
He's right. And he would be the other. He would have the infinite supply of immunological resources, correct? Mm-hmm. See?
Okay. What's your coffee of choice?
Oh, dark roast anything.
I gotcha. Next up, if your partner was stuck on a deserted island with only one tool, would they rather have a microscope or a high-speed centrifuge?
Should I write it?
Lynn would probably go for the high-speed centrifuge because in her PhD she studied lipoproteins for which you need a high-speed centrifuge.
I don't think I would want either one.
Oh, wow.
I would want to get out of there.
What about you? What would you choose?
Oh, he would want the microscope. He's one of the world's best microscopists. So, absolutely.
And last one, would your partner rather give a TED Talk about your most exciting research findings or host a podcast series of some behind-the-scenes life at the Immunology Center of Georgia?
For him, the TED Talk.
I think she would more like the behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes? Okay. I gotcha. Well, thanks y'all so much for being here. I'm really excited to see all the amazing work that you're, kind of already doing for the Immunology Center of Georgia. And I just know that it's going to make a huge impact on not only MCG, but the state as well.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for having
us.
us.
This is fun. It was fun.
I told you it would be fun.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Susan Davies, and I'm your Vice President for Enrollment and Student Affairs. I'm so delighted that I get to talk with you today about 4 to Finish. These are 4 aspects that we want you to incorporate into your life here at Augusta University in order to be successful. We feel like if you incorporate 4 to Finish, that you will be happier with your Augusta University experience and that you'll graduate on time. So what is 4 to Finish? Number 1, engage. We want you to engage both inside and outside of the classroom. Join a club or organization, speak with your faculty member after class, engage in undergraduate research. Number 2, we want you to make purposeful choices. Make purposeful choices about how you spend your time, about your major, and even about who you study with. Make purposeful choices. 3 is to develop your academic mindset. We want you to come into college and to be a student here at Augusta University with a growth mindset, with a mindset that allows for you to learn from others and to bounce back easily from mistakes. And number 4 is to follow your program pathway. This means following your curriculum in order to graduate on time, but it also means thinking about what you want to incorporate into your academic program to make it even more holistic for you. That might include an internship or student leadership. When you graduate from Augusta University, we want you to graduate with your degree in one hand and a career plan in the other. And 4 to finish will get you there.
Well, welcome y'all to In the Wilds. Really excited to have you. Diving right in, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you both decided to pursue your respective majors?
Yeah, so I knew in high school that I didn't really know what I was wanting to do, and then I met Piper, and she kind of helped me give me some perspective, and I started looking into the medical profession, and I shadowed a dentist and really fell in love with it, and AU had a really good dental program, and the faculty here were really close with DCG's faculty, so I figured it was the best spot for me. And then she was doing nursing, and so she had kind of a similar story.
Yeah, so I always kind of was interested in like the medical field. I wasn't exactly sure like the difference between a doctor or like a nurse, you know. So I think I started in high school by just Googling like what's the difference, which I know seems really simple, but basically the explanation I had come up with was like doctors kind of dealing with like the problem, whereas the nurse is kind of executing and dealing with the patient. And so I'm like kind of more of a people person, so that kind of fit in a little bit more to what I was kind of wanting to do. So we were looking at colleges, and AU just seemed like a really good place, especially with like the medical side of things that they have here. So
yeah, and it was a bonus that we both were able to come here too and stay with each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So what was your first impression of AU when you first got on campus?
I know mine was a little bit of shock because it wasn't like a UGA or a Georgia Southern in terms of size. But the more I stayed on campus, the more I really appreciated the history and tradition on the campus, especially Somerville right here. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think it was really pretty. At first, that was like my first thought, I guess, when I came here. It felt very like comfortable too. Like, I don't know, immediately, I know this sounds weird, but like immediately I felt like this was kind of where I was supposed to end up, especially because this was my first college tour. So I wasn't really sure like if I was just really excited and like it was my first tour and like that's kind of why I was feeling that way. But after all the other tours I did, I for sure like kept coming back to Augusta. I liked the potential, like it is smaller, so it is like you get to know more people on campus, which I really liked the idea of that. But it's also not too small to where there's not anything going on. There's always a lot of stuff going on, and we've been able to get really involved, so we've definitely never regretted our decision for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of go off of your response because I kind of felt the same way when I first came here as like a prospective student. Like I was like, wow, this campus looks really nice, and I always had this sense of like, yeah, this could feel like home. Mm-hmm. And so coming back as a student, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like it here.
Yeah.
So being college students, juggling studies, balancing personal life, work-life balance, all that good stuff, it can be a challenge. So how do you manage that? Being students, but also being newlyweds?
That's been a challenge, not gonna lie, because both of our class loads are really picking up, and we're getting the tail end of our college career, and it's hitting hard. So our biggest thing is when we're home from school, and we give time to each other, because if we don't, then we're never gonna give time to each other because we're always gonna be doing school. And that's not to say we don't study and stuff, because we definitely do. We just make sure that we have separate times, because if we start crossing everything over, there's some issues that can happen.
Yeah, it's more of, for us, I think it's more of planning. We've always been big planners before we were married. Like, we just are planners. I think it's like kind of was like a shift into like, okay, yes, we're going to plan our studying, but we also are going to plan to be with each other, because it's like intentional time spent with each other, because that's really important, especially with we can both get caught up in the studying and like we have to, you know, be the best students that we can be, and that's so important. But it's also important to, at the end of the day, to still have like a relationship with each other and not work ourselves to where we like resent that work ethic, you know? So I think intentional time has definitely been something we've actually like had to make an effort of scheduling, but it's been really good for us for sure.
And what was it like, I guess, to plan a wedding being college students? Because I remember how overwhelmed I was just keeping up with schoolwork and just, other things on campus, and y'all are both really involved in other
Yes.
things as well. So like what was that process and that experience like of wedding planning?
Yeah, I didn't have as much to do with that because she was really big into the planning, but I was taking my DAT and had some of my really hard classes, so it was equally as difficult, but she was more on the wedding side.
Yeah,
It was very hard.
so we we got engaged in May. So it was right when our sophomore years were kind of coming, it was sophomore year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Right when our sophomore years were kind of coming to a close, so like we had already finished that semester. And so we both went home, got engaged. And so then that summer, I spent a lot of time with my mom, like just kind of cranking out the planning, and I knew it was like a year in advance, but also I knew that with me starting nursing school in August, I knew that it was going to get busy. So I did a lot of the planning summer, and I think that the planning I had left to do like in the school year was kind of like smaller things, but I think it also kind of gave me a little bit of a distraction from school. It was a nice little like moment of like, I'm looking forward to this kind of thing, something to work towards. And if I did have free time, it was something I could do that I enjoyed doing. I did like doing it. So I think it honestly gave a really good like break almost for school. It was busy, but I think I enjoyed it a lot. I do miss, even like now in school, me and my friends joke, we're like, well, we don't have a wedding to plan, so what are we going to do now, So.
Was there anything, I guess, during that like busy period, any like skills you kind of learned and picked up on the way? Like you mentioned you were already planners, but like anything, I guess, outside of that?
Well, now we have a shared calendar, which is very nice for us,
Very nice.
especially because we always know what we're doing, like as far as school schedules and stuff. And I think I've always been a planner person, like having an actual planner. So that's always been something that I've done, especially starting college. And I think you have a similar strategy, but almost like our shared calendar is now almost like a shared planner, and it's always on our phone, so we know what each other's doing at any moment. It's been really nice with like time management and time planning for sure.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing we had to wrap our heads around was in that time we had so much stuff to do, and it was just really overwhelming seeing our to-do list. And so just taking it one step at a time really helped to deal with that stress.
Yes, day by day, because you can't complete, I'll like plan a whole month out, and it's like really overwhelming, but it's like you're not completing a whole month in one day. You take it day by day, so.
Well, that's good advice. Speaking of advice, do y'all ever find yourselves being like overwhelmed with advice for being like a newlywed couple, being college students, being young people, just kind of, figuring out adulting? Like, do y'all experience that?
Like, are you saying like people overwhelming us with advice?
Yeah, just like, do you feel like you're just constantly being given advice from everybody about everything?
I think for sure. One thing I've learned with being a newlywed, especially being young, we're both young, we're 21 and 22, so being a newlywed, being young, everyone has opinions. I think that's what we've learned too, is that everyone has opinions, whether it be about being married, whether it be about wedding planning, whether it be about being married before you're done with school. Like, everyone's going to have their opinions. I think we've definitely experienced that for sure, both positive and negative sides of that. But I think the biggest thing for us was like, we're going to do what's best for us in this moment. And if we've really thought about it and worked together as a team, like that's what we're going to do, what's best for us, no matter what other people, kind of have to say. Because at the end of the day, everyone is going to have an opinion. So I think we definitely have had both sides of the advice,
We definitely have.
What has been the best advice you received, but also the worst advice you've received? Don't overthink it.
I know, I was like, oh gosh.
Well,
I think my best advice as far as college goes is to really like that it does go by fast and to use every moment that you have to its fullest capacity. And I think we both have really done that with being involved. And I say my own, like that same advice, I'm saying that to the new girls that are coming through, especially in the sorority. like the freshman, I'm like, this goes by seriously so fast. And I think like everyone says that, and you don't really know until you are there, and it's like, wow, it's been 4 years and it's already over kind of thing. So I think that's probably the best advice, is just to be as involved as we can be. And I think that we really both took that to heart for sure.
Yeah. I'd say one of the worst pieces of advice that I got was that college is a time to be selfish. And while I can see the argument for that, like getting yourself where you need to be, like it totally detracts from what you need to be doing in college and getting involved and helping other people. And we've kind of flipped that on its head. One, because I'm not selfish about myself because I'm with Piper and I'm taking care of her, but also with other people on campus. I always lend a helping hand when needed. So that was just something, I don't even remember who told it to me, but it didn't sit right with me. And so I just was like, I'm going to do the opposite of that and help other people.
Especially with how our school is kind of set up, it is like a smaller, so it's kind of set up to be more of a collaborative environment. And I think if you do have that mindset of like, I'm going to be selfish, it does tend to maybe stray you to being more like secluded, which is totally fine.
yeah.
Some people do work best in that environment, but both of us definitely do not. I'm more of a team-based type of person. I think TJ is too. So I think that bias maybe works if you're like not a person that studies well in like groups and works best in teams. But I think our campus is set up to be kind of a collaborative space for other students. And so I think that that's definitely what we've at least realized from being here.
When I run through my questions, I sometimes ask myself these questions. So for me, college advice, one of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was, I guess it's not really advice, it's more like a mantra, but like life doesn't get easier, you just get better. And so I kind of always keep that in the back of my mind whenever I'm feeling like overwhelmed, or I feel like this week, or, just like exhausted from, and I think of like, hey, well, a year ago or 2 years ago or back in high school, I wouldn't have been able to handle this the same way. So
Very true.
And I think worst piece of advice, I think people always, I'm a first gen college graduate, so a lot of times people would just tell me like, oh, just go home. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you're feeling stressed, just go home and like talk to your mom about it or talk to, your family about it. And I'm like, that doesn't always work. If my problems are here in Augusta, leaving Augusta, I'm going to come back to,
Yeah.
that's not going to necessarily solve anything.
No, it just delays it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can, still get, advice and support from my family, on the phone or whatever I need to, but literally running away from my problems is not going to, help me out. How has it been supporting each other, I guess, academically, but also as partners and being spouses at this point? What does that look like?
I mean, honestly, it's been pretty easy. Whenever we go back home, I know Piper really likes to study in the car, and so I'll make her drive, and I'll just sit there with her notes and ask her questions about it, and just support her that way. And we do the same thing, just sitting at the house. I help her study.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been super easy for me.
I think it's helped that we have different majors. It's helped, but also could see the benefit of having the same majors. But it's almost like we both kind of help each other without being too involved in the material. Like I have no idea what kind of cellular, molecular things are going on, but I can read the, notes that he has and quiz him. And I think we both do that with each other. And it's good to be like, I guess like almost separated in our like knowledge. So like I have no idea, but I'm going off of what's on the page. You know what I mean?
Another good thing that we were separated on majors is I'm super competitive. And I know if we were doing the same thing, I'd always be trying to one up.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be good for our relationship. So
No, I
it's
don't
really
think
good
so.
that we're in different majors.
And I'm just not competitive. So I just genuinely don't really, have a competitive spirit. So sometimes I'm just like, okay, you win. You know what I mean? I get it. But even with like his interview for dental school, and my interviews for like some jobs that I've been applying for, we've done like mock interviews, and I guess it's kind of nice to have like a partner that's also in the same season of life as you, and like just practicing and throwing things back and like, oh, you should say this, or like let's think, because interviews aren't difficult. It's things that you have already experienced, but like calling those memories back of like, tell me about a time when, you know what I mean? So it's been nice to kind of bounce back ideas, especially since we're both kind of entering that phase.
I remember you both saying like you're more you're both kind of like people oriented. But did you find it, I guess, helpful coming in as a couple to like socialize with other folks and kind of spread your wings, or was it more difficult because you had each other already?
I think it was really good for us because
Yeah.
we were, what, like one of 4 from our high school?
Yeah, so I have a twin sister. She also goes here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we kind of came in as a group of 3 almost, because it was me and my twin sister and then TJ. But I think it was a little bit easier, the transition, just because we knew going in, like I knew I would have a roommate and my sister, and then obviously TJ was coming too. That made me feel like definitely more like comfortable and safe. But I think it did have its disadvantages, because we noticed like when people were making friends, a group of 3 is really intimidating to just walk up into. So, but we really tried our freshman year. We both were at the dorms, and it was during COVID, so it was that whole like weird boundary of like where are people standing, and but we really tried to just kind of reach out to everybody that we saw like sitting by themselves, or like anybody in like groups of like small groups. We could be like, hey, like, do you guys want to come sit with us? And we ended up forming like a really close friend group, and it was
we're
really
still friends today.
yeah, we
That's
are.
awesome.
So it was really fun. Like we've seriously had the best time, and I think reaching out, we definitely felt more comfortable reaching out to new people because we already kind of had those people. It was almost like, if anything happens, we do have these people still. So I think it made it more comfortable for sure.
Yeah, and personally, I feel like college friendships can run so much deeper because you get to experience so many things for the first time with your college friends outside of your loved ones and like that support from back home. So yeah, I think of some of my friends from freshman year that I'm still really close to. So it's great that y'all were able to experience that too. But switching gears a little bit, we're going to play a fun little game. Don't get too competitive.
Okay.
But we're going to use your whiteboards that I gave you, so if you want to pick those up.
Okay.
And this is my version of the Newlywed game, where I'm going to ask you guys some questions, and you're just going to answer, I guess, to see how well you know your spouse. So, getting started. First question. What is your spouse's favorite study snack or comfort food, especially during exams?
Oh, this is embarrassing.
You got this.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Reveal.
What'd you say?
Any candy, but not chocolate.
True. Yes.
Okay.
What did you
Salt
say?
and vinegar chips.
Okay.
I mean, you have.
I guess. Okay.
Is that-
I say candy because we have like a candy bowl at our house, and when TJ's studying, I know when he has a test coming up because it's
Yeah,
like
'cause it's
always
empty.
empty.
All right. Next one. Oh, if your spouse could pick any spot on campus for a romantic date, where would it be? All right. 1, 2, 3.
Quad.
Said the amphitheater.
Oh, that's a good one too.
We have gone on little picnics there.
Yeah.
The quad is super pretty.
It is really nice,
I love the big tree there. It's very nice.
especially like in the spring before it gets like too hot to just like sit out. Yeah. What is your spouse's favorite subject or class, and why do they enjoy it? All right.
So I
did
said
you say?
practicum because you got the best practicum.
Oh, yes. I got my placement that I wanted
Yeah.
first, practicum.
Oh, awesome.
She was very happy about
Yes,
it.
but I put biology because you like a challenge.
Yeah.
If your spouse could change one thing about Augusta University, what would it be? I'm really interested to see the responses here.
Yeah, that's a good question. You're quick. All right.
All right.
Okay.
I said increasing the budget for student life, just because there's a lot more stuff on campus that I feel like
Yeah.
you'd like to get involved in.
Yeah, I kind of did the same. I said more guys interested in Greek life, but
that's
Yeah.
true.
Greek life in general, I
Yeah.
think. We both are in Greek life, so we love Greek life here.
All right. Last one. Because both of you are graduating this May, if you could plan the ultimate post-graduation celebration together, what would it be?
Like, just for us two?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for you, you're figuring out what he would
What he
What
would
he would
want.
plan.
Okay.
All right. Hey.
Do we have the same
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, same one.
Parks.
National parks.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's our bucket list to go to all of them.
We're actually going a couple this summer.
Yes, we are
that'd be
starting
nice.
our checklist of them.
Where's the first stop?
Is it New River Gorges National
No,
Park?
that one is on our list. For
Second
this,
stop?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
Cuyahoga Valley in
Yes.
Ohio.
Oh, nice.
And then we're going to New River Gorge in West Virginia, and then we're actually getting to go to Washington D.C. also,
Yeah.
because we like to always be learning, even on vacation, I guess.
Look, I'm all for it for vacation. It sounds like y'all got a busy summer ahead of
Yeah,
you.
we
Yes,
do.
for sure.
Well, thank y'all so much for coming on the show and chat with me a little bit. It's homecoming week. Do you want to give any shout outs to the team really quickly? Anybody in particular? Pass the paw?
Oh, wait, you mean like our organizations?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay,
You go
you
first.
go first. You go first.
Trying to think of what to say.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be competing in Pass the Ball with my sorority, Alpha Chi Omega, and I'm really excited. Last year, we won Pass the Ball for our category of organization, so we're hoping to take home the trophy again. And I'll also be competing in dance comp, so we're really
nice.
excited. Yes, we're really excited for all of that, and I guess best of luck to all the sisters participating, even the Panhellenic sisters.
And then I'll be doing everything with Delta Chi. So born proud, raised proud.
Nice. Well, thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. I really enjoyed meeting our immunologists because I think they're going to do some game-changing work for the university. Because, look, if they reach that international status like you talked about, I think that would be great for everybody. And it was fun to chat with Tate and Piper. They were definitely a fun bunch to have on. So all of them are welcome back to come to the podcast at any time. And if you enjoyed this episode, I hope you let us know. Let us know on Spotify. You can actually give us comments and engage with us on that platform. And of course, you can always take the conversation over to our social media channel or our Instagram as well. So talk to us on @InTheWildPod on Instagram because we love hearing from you guys and we want to make sure that we're talking about the right stuff. And if you have any questions or have any ideas for what we should talk about next time, let us know because we'll add that to the show as well. But I'm all inspired. I'm loved out at this point, but stay tuned with all of the other AU Sweetheart content that we have coming out this week, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.